Ashlyn.
And I'm Zach.
And we're traveling A to Z.
This week, we're in White Sands, New Mexico.
We just made it to White Sands National Park in New Mexico. We're gonna go check out the visitor center and the White Sands and dunes. White Sand National Park is the most popular national park in New Mexico.
The visitor center is nice. They have some shops and souvenirs. The shop also sells sleds so you could slide down the dunes. In the back of the visitor center, there's an area with informational billboards and a video you could watch that tells about the vegetation, animals, and how the White Sands National Park was formed.
We just got a sled. So you get a used one for $19.99 or a new one for $24.99.
We're doing the Dunes Drive, which is the main drive with all the scenic outlooks and hikes in White Sands National Park. Our first stop on our drive is to Dune Life's Nature Trail.
Our first stop is to Dune Life Nature Trail, and it is a 1-mile loop that's supposed to be through vegetation and some of the dunes.
Walking, and we're walking into the sand dunes.
I'm so excited. It's Gypsum sand dunes, so it's supposed to be way different than the other sand dunes we've ever experienced. It's supposed to be like drywall piece consistency, because drywall is made out of gypsum. I don't know. We've never felt it, but we're coming up on them.
There's 275 square miles of white sand, which is different than the typical quartz sand that we know of. The sand is made of gypsum, which is the same material that makes plaster and drywall. It is the largest gypsum dune field in the world. The dune fields are relatively young in geological terms. They're only about 4,000 to 7,000 years old. The dune field also formed in a short period of time of about 1,000 years.
You can pretty much walk wherever you want, but they do have these blue markings that you can follow, which is where the trail is. The Dune Trail is supposed to give you a good idea of the vegetation in the area. As you go farther in the park, the vegetation goes away. So this is a yucca plant. Apparently their roots will go down to 30 feet down into the sand dunes to get the water.
The gypsum comes from the surrounding mountains. When it rains, the gypsum-infused water runs down the mountainside. From the mountainside, it flows to the lowest point at Alkali Flat and Lake Lucera on the western side of White Sands. When the water evaporates, it leaves the gypsum crystal, which is very soft, which causes the crystals to break apart easily. Due to the wind in the area, it causes the crystals to roll over each other and break into finer pieces. They end up so fine that it's almost as soft as talcum powder.
Oh, this is definitely a lot easier to hike on than like the sand at a beach. You don't sink down as much. Next stop is the Interdune Boardwalk. It's 0.4 miles round trip. It is supposed to be wheelchair accessible the whole way, so you could go out into the dunes if you want. You could go into the sand dunes without even getting your shoes sandy.
About halfway, they have an area where you could sit that's covered to rest and has more informational signs. At the end of the boardwalk, they have a platform with informational signs about how the dunes are formed in White Sand National Park.
So the Interdune Boardwalk is a nice little boardwalk if you want to see the sand dunes with vegetation, but can't really walk on the sand. It's pretty easy, flat, has informational signs as you go. So I recommend that. If you could walk in sand and have no problems, definitely do the dune hike, because I thought that was better personally.
As you drive farther on the dune road, all the vegetation starts to disappear and you just have white sand. There's some nice dune hills at the end of the road where you could go sledding.
So we got a sled, we bought some wax. So you're supposed to put it the way you want it to go. I guess if you wax it, it's supposed to make it slide better and you go faster. Kind of like skis. They sell the wax and the sleds at the visitor center. Guess we'll start with that. It's a little harder than it looks. I felt like it's hard to get going. But once I got going, it was fun. Maybe a little running start, I don't know. Maybe I should wait for the camper to go.
You're not gonna get that far. Go ahead.
It's not as easy as snow sledding. Okay. Whee! Oh, how fun. It's definitely a workout to climb up the hill, but it is a lot of fun.
Our last stop is at the very end of the Dunes Drive at Alkali Flat Trail.
Alkali Flat Trail. 5 miles loop. It takes about 3 hours.
This trail is supposed to be one of the best trails to watch the sunset.
So this is a loop trail. It's out from the parking lot. You loop around clockwise or counterclockwise and you come back where you started. It's supposed to be right around 5 miles total. And there's a turnaround about 2.5 miles in with a barrier, I think, that says don't go beyond this point because you could basically get blown up. So we're gonna avoid that.
You follow the red markers through the sand dunes, which will lead you along this loop.
Okay, this one's a climb. Some of them go up to 60 feet tall that you have to climb. Climbing the sand, it's like 1 foot forward, 2 feet back. Steep one. One step at a time. You can see all the lines in the sand from the wind. It's so cool looking.
The dunes move about 12 to 15 feet a year because of the wind.
We made it to the end of the trail. Caution, area closed behind here or behind this point because there's unexploded ammunition and you could die. So we have to turn around. This is about the halfway point. We've gone 2.4 miles. Now we're gonna head back. The sunset is pretty, and there's beautiful like red color in the sky, and it's kind of reflecting off the white sand right now.
We made it back to our car right before dark. We hope you enjoyed exploring White Sands National Park with us. Please subscribe below to follow more of our adventures.